Hi everyone, welcome. Glad you've joined us for this session today. It's How To with Anna. As you know, obviously, hopefully everyone can see Anna on the screen, but we're going to be talking about how to do a doable marketing plan today. So I think that's key, isn't it? The word doable there, Anna, is the absolute key word to this.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So I won't say anything more because no one's here to listen to me. They're here to listen to you, Anna. So I'll hand it over to you, Anna. And obviously, just to mention that if people have got questions, just ask them as we're going along. Put them in either the Q&A or the chat box, and I'll field all them and kind of put them to Anna as we're going along.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Cheers, Anna.
So, good morning, everybody. Thank you to Michael for asking me along to do this session. It's another opportunity to just challenge myself and give myself a little push in areas that I really enjoy doing on the marketing side of things. So as Michael said, this morning we're going to be covering a doable plan of activity. I've put together a few slides, nothing too much, because I am all about keeping it simple and doable for business owners so that they have got the choice of doing their own marketing activities or handing them over to somebody else if they choose not to do it themselves. But if they've got that understanding and confidence around their marketing, it just allows them to embrace it more and make sure it's a permanent fixture within their business. So I'll just share my slides now. Okay. So that's just the first slide. We've covered that off. So why have a plan? Having a marketing plan is about getting action around your marketing. Quite often people freeze or they feel overwhelmed with it for lots of different reasons. There's lots of jargon out there and that side of things. So, you know, and there's just so many marketing activities now, people don't know where to start. So a plan just helps give us that plan of action. Really, it's something to follow, and I quite often refer to it as like a traditional old style school timetable. It's that looking at it and knowing exactly what you're doing when, and that's how I try to help people with the plans that I work on with them. So it's about action. It's about getting that focus for you in your business. And quite often what we see internally as a business owner and within a business can be very different to what is seen externally and what needs to be seen externally by our target audiences and other groups that we're surrounded by as a business. And then it's around getting that consistency as well. So that plan helps us bring that focus to life in a very consistent way to get us saying the similar things in different ways all of the time. So it's really clear what we are about as a business, what we're about as people, what we're about as business owners, because people are always looking from all kinds of directions. So being consistent in what you're saying and doing is really important. And it's that sticks in people's minds for, that's the lady that does marketing. She does strategy. You know, oh, Michael, he does Northern Affinity. It's all about networking, but it's done differently. So it's that front of mind stuff that sits in somebody's head, really, that we want to get you to. So the key ingredients for a marketing plan for me are having goals, starting with your goals and working back from those, and that's got to be about your business goals. If your marketing is lined up with your business goals, it really does set you off on the right track. And having everything cascade down from what your goals are within the business throughout your various functional areas that we all have, no matter what size our business is, it helps everybody just be clear on what we're working towards, whether we work alone or work with other people or we outsource, all those things. Having clear goals for your business is vital. Working back from them goals then breaks down into what you need to do on the marketing side to help work towards those goals. Again, it's got to be about that focus. So we're getting focus from understanding what the business goals are and breaking those down into what we need to do on the marketing side. So you may decide you want to grow your business by 15% over the next 12 months. I tend not to go over 12 months at the moment just because of the world that we're living in at the minute. And so if you look at your next 12 months, what your main goals are, you don't have any more than 3. I'm all about 3s because it helps keep it simple. Those 3 top line goals can break down into lots of sub goals and all kinds. So having 3 key ones is more than enough. Then those goals will break down into, right, so I want to grow 15% in the next 12 months. What do I need to do? So I need to be getting X number of new enquiries. Out of those new enquiries, I need to be getting X number of proposals to them, because I know out of this many proposals that I develop, I will convert X number of those. So it's just how that breaks down then. Then the focus is around what your business is about. What do you stand for as a business? What are your unique selling points? What's your little background story that makes you stand out from all the rest, because nobody else will have walked your path and got your story. You know, there's lots of people offer similar products and services, but they are quite often never going to do it in the same way as you do it, because of that individual path that you and your business have walked and how you've got to where you are today. So
yes, sorry, do you mind jumping in there? And I think that's a really interesting point, because I was actually very recently listening to a podcast about this and talking about your story behind it. And a lot of people don't believe they have a story, because people think a story is they think it's a rags to riches type thing. Is that that's the only story? But there's a million and one different stories that everyone has. So I think it's a really interesting point, and something, like I said, I've heard quite a bit recently.
Yeah, you know, and it's important to tune into that story. And like I said, we've all got one, and there have been milestones throughout our working lives, careers, and that side of things, where we can probably pick up on a couple of things in each 10-year block of our working lives as such that lends itself to where we are at today. So I find it quite easy to help build that story by looking at those 10-year blocks, and you'd be surprised at what does lend itself to where you are today and why you're doing what you're doing. But that for me always works wonders for creating that, oh yeah, that's what's unique about me, that's what makes me different. And people love a little story, and people buy from people. So once you've got those goals and that focus, it's about, right, what are the messages, who are our target audience, and what are the key messages that we need to be getting across to those target audiences. Again, work it in 3s. What are the top 3 things that you want to be saying to your target audiences to make sure they are crystal clear on what you're about and how you can help them? And then sorry, Michael, I've just got my dog whining in the background. Always wanting attention. So once we've got those top line 3 key messages, for example, we can break that down into a range of different marketing activities, and that again will be unique to your business. There are loads of marketing activities out there, and it's about finding the ones that you already do that work, and finding the ones that you may not have considered or might be a bit of a challenge for you. So goals, focus, messages, activities, those are the key ingredients there. Again, I've covered this really. So it's it's just to reinforce those top line business goals have got to cascade down into your functional areas, in particular marketing. Marketing is a permanent activity that all businesses should be doing. It's an always on activity that can be turned up as and when you need to. It's not about turning it on and off. It's about having it constant and turning it up when you've got something more to shout about at any one time. But if your marketing is lined up with your business goals, you are really clear and on the path to achieving those goals using that as a foundation. So to help in finding your focus, I've touched on some of these. So, you know, it's looking at what's unique about you. It's understanding what the bigger plan is for the business, where you want to take it to, where it's at now, what your dreams are, what your vision is for moving that forward. And again, that will be unique and will help set you apart from others. What are your key offerings around your products and services? Again, if you offer a range of products and services, pick 3 and stick with that to make it really clear. Pick your 3 top line offerings that draw people through the door as such, and then the secondary offerings can follow after that. You can't sell everything to everyone. Focus on who your target audience is. Do the 3s trick again. Who's your top 3? What are your top 3 target audiences? Who are the main ones that you want to go at, that you have most success with, or that you know are a real opportunity for you to start homing in on? And then focusing those messages and themes that you want to talk to those target audiences about. So you may decide that you want to focus on a specific topic on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, depending on what type of business you were in and the products and services that you offer. So you know, or you might even decide you want to follow a theme for a 12-month period, but it's about being clear on those goals, those messages, and what theme you want to follow for a month, a quarter, or a year, really. And then looking at your overall marketing activities. So we'd start by looking at what your current activities are, what you're happy with doing, what works, what results you get from that. So looking at all of those current activities, and then looking at what assets you've already got. It's surprising what we have created already that we forget about. And, you know, remind yourself of that library of marketing assets that you've probably got, because you can repurpose that, reuse it, and there'll be valuable, relevant content within there that helps showcase your expertise. And quite often I will help people in developing subject matter white papers, providing tools and tips like worksheets and planners, things that are really visual as well, like a simple infographic. It might just have 3 circles on it with some really important key information in each of those circles that sits really well and is relevant to your target audience and the products and services that you offer. What videos have you got? What blogs have you written? Who have you written? You know, what blogs have you done for other people? PR opportunities, case studies, reviews, the freebies that you do. Even if you just do a little 15-minute call, or a discovery session, something like that. These are all of your current marketing assets. So write down what that library of assets is for you and what you can use to meet your current business goals that is relevant to your target audiences. And some of what you've got, like I say, will still be relevant. Some of it you can adapt it.
And just mind me, Stu, do you mind me asking Anna about the kind of the repurposing thing? I think it's one of those things that has become kind of a real big hot topic, hasn't it, in marketing recently? Because there is so many different ways of doing things, and I think maybe it's one of the areas I hear that maybe the smaller businesses don't really think about as much as bigger businesses. You if you look at something, I don't know, you look at BBC and you look at when they're putting out their output on the website, it's all stuff that's repurposed. It's either from one of their TV programs, it's from their radio shows, it's from podcasts, and they'll repurpose all that information and have all sorts of different avenues. And it's obviously a good opportunity for small businesses when you do one thing to make it work in 5-6 different areas.
Definitely. So from those current marketing assets, pick your top 3 again that you can make work really well for you, that you can chop up in lots of different ways and talk about in lots of different ways. You do not need to keep starting from scratch. It's absolutely vital to help make marketing doable for business owners, micro businesses and solo owners. It's really important to keep it as simple as possible and attempt to work in those 3s or in and around about that area, because if you've got 3 really good strong assets, you can chop those up in lots of different ways, but people will invite you to talk about those 3 things in lots of different ways as well. I get opportunities around blogs, getting involved in case studies, podcasts. So there's so much that you can do off just a small number of really core key assets, and getting maximum mileage out of those and being as resourceful as possible with them. But how you see the plan shortly will help bring that to life for you. So then, people get overwhelmed in particular with the online and the offline side of marketing, and the terminology that is used around that. So I use the word online because it's anything that is online, digital, however you want to term it. But regardless of whether it's online or offline, it's marketing. It's a marketing activity. The opportunities for online are highly targeted, and you can put lots of effort into that area, but you've got to know and be confident that they are the right activities for your business. SEO, for example, is a great activity to undertake, but it's very competitive and it costs. So you've got to be certain that it's the right activity for you and your business. Social media, doing ads, pay-per-click, it's all about getting closer to your target audiences and getting that final end action. Retargeting web visitors, getting emails out, doing polls, surveys, webinars, videos, podcasts. Some of those online activities now are that much of a part of normal everyday life that we wouldn't even realize that they were online activities. So and probably more so because of the last few months and lockdown and that side of things, webinars are just such the norm now. So what might have been overwhelming previously is normal to some people now, which is great. So again, those boundaries between what you do offline marketing wise and what you do online marketing wise are starting to come together a little bit more again, which is really good. So on the offline marketing side of things, the different types of activities that you can be looking at is that person to person side of things. I am really passionate about the fact that people buy from people. And I think it's really important to be genuine and have those values and to be able to know yourself and your story and to be able to talk confidently around your area of expertise. Other forgotten marketing activities that work: telemarketing, direct mail, brochures, managing your relationships, having a good customer service experience, events, you know, they will come back to us eventually. Collaborating, I've put collaborating twice there, I was getting carried away. Networking, bids and tenders, and you know, there's a mountain of offline opportunities that tends to be around that real getting to know people side of things and getting close to them in a more personal and visual way, and an understanding way, and not fearing picking up the phone or popping something through the post to somebody. Thank you very much for the face mask, Michael, by the way. You know, that was just a lovely little gesture. It's direct mail, you know, it's promotional merchandise. So don't forget those little things. So that should hopefully give you a full feel for how you review what your current marketing activities are, what you should be focusing on, and, you know, understanding that on and offline side of things, and making sure that you've got a bit of a balance going on, because it's not just about doing one or two marketing activities. It's about making those core key assets work as hard as possible for you and doing a few different things in a few different ways. So here's the plan. This is, so all of those previous slides that we've covered off, this is what it's all been working towards. So we, you know, the outline around this is looking at those activities, knowing your goals, having your focus, and knowing your key messages. Those are permanent fixtures that should always be in your mind when you are pulling together a plan. Your plan can be monthly, quarterly. I wouldn't tend to go further than that, because it's quite often, if you work on a monthly or quarterly basis, the momentum and the learnings that you gain from that lend itself to building your plan further into the future. And it's the learnings that are vital within marketing, and that's why it's so important to one of the reasons why it's so important to make sure it is an ongoing activity. So this is just an example, and it, you know, so you could look at a month. I only had space to fit 3 weeks in, or else it would have looked minute on screen. So if you just do a month, look at what your 3 top core assets are. Look at 3 activities that you could do online off the back of those core assets. What can you talk about in different ways? So I might have written a 4-page document. I might call it a white paper. I might call it something a bit more appropriate, depending on who my target audience is. I might turn that white paper into an infographic, and then I can chop that up into lots of different ways. I can write blogs about what I've done. I can write social media posts. I can put it in emails. I can put information on my website. I can pop a little postcard in the post to people. So there's lots of stuff that you can do. So it's sort of, these are my top assets. These are the things that I can do online with those assets. These are the things that I can do offline with those assets. And these are the activities that I'm comfortable with, because I come across people that have been told that they need to do certain activities that they really are not comfortable with. They're being told, you've got to do video, you need to do SEO, you need to be doing lives, you know, and you can see them just cringing and seizing up at the thought. So why tell somebody to do something that just doesn't sit right with them, that they're not comfortable with? So it's about finding those comfortable starting points for you. And then I've got a section there called challenges and considerations. So start with what's comfortable for you, and then ask yourself, what are the things that I need to be thinking about? What are the things that I'm prepared to challenge myself a little bit on? So if you don't want to do videos and lives at the moment, it might be worth you thinking about doing a podcast, because it may be the on-screen thing that you're not liking too much, or something like that. So there's always alternatives and other options, but it's really important to just challenge yourself. And then once you've made the most of being resourceful with this plan of activity and making it work well for you on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, there may be additional considerations around that from the learnings that you gain at the bottom. So every month, every week, whatever works for you, look at the outcomes of those activities that you've undertaken. So if you've sent an email, check the report out, look at how many opens you've got on it, look at how many click-throughs you've got on it, check your website analytics, see where your traffic has come from during that month to understand where your efforts are best placed, because it will show you on there whether people are coming from the search engine side, from the social media side, or if you've got paid for activities going on, it will show you where they're coming from. And that helps to inform where your efforts are best placed and where you can build up to actually put in some budget, because you will feel confident and understand that, well, I've done all of these things and that works really well for me, so it's worth me putting some money into it to make it work harder for me. So it builds all of that confidence up. Any activities that you do, always try to measure them and always reflect on them to understand those learnings, because it's those learnings that will give you those month-on-month refinements around, this is where my focus is, this is what I need to improve on, because that bit worked, but that didn't work so well. So how do I change that? So it's always reflecting and questioning on that side of things, but just challenging yourself at the same time. And it's understanding where your money is best spent, where your effort is best placed, and just starting in a little way, in small ways with a plan. Applying that threes approach really does help you get going and get clear, and it just makes it all manageable for you and stops that overwhelm kicking in.
Do you think as well, Anna, so it's really important to be open-minded to things? So for example, you might believe that your audience is listening to podcasts, but what have you based that on? And now there's nothing wrong with obviously trying that, but that's an example of something that can be quite both time consuming and expensive as an option. So it's either going out and finding that out in advance before you do it, or but not afraid to as well, if it's not working, just stop and do something else.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's really important to try new things with marketing. And if you're doing that in a resourceful way, because there are so many free opportunities out there now, there's kind of no stopping anybody trying something. And there is nothing wrong if it doesn't work. It's kind of like, right, fine, lesson learned. Something that might not have worked for you in the past, times change, it might work for you now. So, always be open-minded, like you say, Michael. Try new things. Look at what you have done in the past that maybe didn't work, but when you've got that understanding around why it didn't work, you might be able to adapt that in some way to make it work for you going forwards. So just to round up now, it's all about making that plan happen. And as long as you keep it smart, and that's about it being specific, measurable, and people quite often think the A should be for achievable. I had a conversation with somebody recently, and we said it should be aspirational, and I quite like that. So specific, measurable, aspirational, because that's about pushing those boundaries a bit for yourself, for your business, challenging yourself, but being realistic, and putting timings on stuff. So if you've got weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual plans that focus those key assets, and you're clear on what you're doing, it just makes it flow so much more easier. And before you know it, it's just it becomes a natural activity that is a permanent fixture within your business, and that's what you need to get it to. But most importantly, don't do anything that you can't measure, really. There are some activities that you can't quite put your finger on it, but you know it works. That's fine. But if you cannot justify that something works, you need to just hold off and review that. So whatever activities you're doing, look at what the measures are and report in a way that's right for you. You might want to look at things on a weekly basis and just check your numbers. Then I think it's more realistic to look at things on a monthly basis, set time aside and check your figures, get what statistics you can as such, get your numbers in, and set time aside to just reflect on that and talk it through with somebody. If you work alone, it is really, really difficult. So it's very important to find somebody that you can just have those conversations with, the sharing, holding each other accountable and questioning one another and things like that, because how you see things and how somebody else sees things is very different, and the ideas that you can come up with between yourselves will always be more than what you could ever come up with on your own, most certainly.
Do you think with that, Anna, as well, obviously in terms of how long you're measuring it over, it's important to understand before you start the actual potential. So for example, let's use PR as an example. It's probably not going to be something that you can measure even over a month, maybe not even a quarter. That it needs to be something you commit to for a reasonable amount of time. SEO is another example of something like that.
Yeah.
So it's understanding as well that the possibilities from that time. Now, obviously there can be some quick wins in there, but is understanding what it is and how it works is really important.
It is, and it is about bearing in mind the quick wins. What are the short-term things that bring those quick wins in? What are the medium-term and what are the long-term things? And like you say, some marketing activities like PR and SEO are certainly not quick wins. They are a longer-term investment by means of money and time. And it's about striking a balance between the short, medium and long-term activities that you undertake. For example, we network, we join networking groups on an annual basis. We quite often review those on an annual basis then, because you reflect on that past 12 months. And, different things work in different ways. So it's can be very enlightening how some of those activities have brought work to you in lots of different ways. It's really surprising. So you have got to justify the activity. You've got to honor the activity with the time that associates with it. SEO, for me, you shouldn't be doing it for any less than 6 months, to be honest. 3 months at an absolute minimum. But if you are really serious about it and you want to give it a really good chance, it's got to be 6 months. Again, because of the learnings that build up over time and the refinements, it's that makes it work better for you and gets it really cost effective. So I think that is my last slide. Yes.
We've got a round of applause already on Workplace, Anna.
Saying, thank you very much.
It wasn't me, don't worry. Saying it was actually from Gemma saying totally agree with the importance of having the right people around you to talk things through.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we've all felt that more so this year, haven't we? Because when you do work on your own, as I do, it's really important to have those people that are good to go to for certain things. And Gemma is one of those people that's good to go to for certain things.
Well, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. I mean, has anyone got any questions? Obviously, I know there's a few attendees, a few people on Workplace. If anyone's got any questions for Anna, I'm sure that the thing about what you do, Anna, I think it's obviously very individual to each person's business, isn't it? So, so I'm assuming that obviously, if anyone wants to contact you, you're happy with that.
Oh, that Phil Fraser, he always pops up with the best questions, doesn't he?
Go on, Anna,
Let
I'll
me
let you
just
answer.
read that again. Let me just bring it up in the panel. How would you determine the budget to be spent? I think once you've got some insights around how an activity has worked for you, that informs the numbers and the budget that you can associate to it. So it's not a clear-cut answer, unfortunately, Phil.
Do you think the type of product or service that you've got is also important as well to that, Anna? Because you know, if you've got you know, if you've got a high ticket, you know, your average sale is, I don't know, £10,000 a year, you probably will budget and put your budget into different places or into certain things, maybe longer term things. Whereas if you are selling a widget that's £10 a time, you're looking for more quick wins. I know I'm being very generic there, but what you do is also important as well as how you do it.
It is because it depends on the value of your products and services, and you know the numbers that build around that, to be honest. And different marketing activities will get different results for you. So it's about trying something and starting off small to gain those learnings initially and make informed decisions then once you've got figures and insights to base it on that can justify you increasing that spend, you know, threefold, fivefold, whatever you choose. Some businesses don't allocate a marketing budget. I would always try to allocate a marketing budget to a business, even if you just set a small percentage of your turnover aside. Always have some allocation there, and you know, understand how you're going to make your marketing happen, because if you can't do it yourself, or you want to focus on what your main strengths are and why you set up in business in the first place, you've got to consider either employing somebody, getting a freelancer in, outsourcing, that side of things. So, you know, there's costs associated with that, but having somebody else do your marketing for you while you focus on your strengths and what you're great at can make a massive difference.
Do you think then, Anna, if you know, if as a startup, generally most startups will have a relatively small budget for marketing.
They won't have one at all, Mike.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, I'll have one at all, but if they do, they might have some. Do you think it's better to? I'm not saying only go for one thing, but if you've got an area that you feel confident will work for you, kind of commit your spending to that rather than spreading it so thin that it probably has very little impact in all areas.
Yeah, from that mixture of activities that you undertake through, you know, through that marketing plan and being, you know, using organic, resourceful, free tools to enable you to do that, that gives you that information that you need to provide you with that confidence on where you could assign some budget. It really does. And you know, that may be, it might not be on something direct like advertising. It may be more around the content side of things, for example. So you might want to get somebody writing really relevant content about your product, service, business, your marketplace, your target audiences, that side of things. So it's not always about that visible, you know, ad spend as such. It is about some of that, what goes on behind the scenes stuff, and making sure that's done properly sometimes, and quite often that will be on the content side.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example. We talked earlier about repurposing. That's the type of thing that you can then repurpose and use on your own website, on social media, all that kind of thing, guest blogs, all that kind of stuff.
And I think if you get somebody that's good at seeing that bigger picture around those main assets, that library of assets that your business has got, they will very quickly realize the potential of how that can be chopped up in lots of different ways for you. So whilst you might be paying somebody to help you with that, they will be working in a really resourceful way for you in your business. So you're getting absolute maximum mileage of what you've already got in place, and informing what you could be creating and what activities you could be doing going forwards, and always looking at those figures and learnings around what you do.
Perfect. Thank you, Anna. So I assume, like I said, if anyone wants to talk to you about all this, you're happy to speak to them about it?
Oh yeah, of course I am. You know me, I like chat.
I thought so. So thank you. I had loads of really nice comments from Michelle, from Tessa, from Kimberly, and again from Gemma. So it's been really useful. And thank you, and thank you everyone for watching.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.